Okay, today we're tackling a real puzzle in the housing market, something that seems to defy all logic. Seriously, this is a fun one. Let's jump right in.
I mean, think about it. How can a brand new home have the same monthly cost as a used one? It just doesn't make any sense, right? You'd think a shiny new, never lived in house has to cost way more each month than an existing one. But what if I told you that for a whole lot of buyers right now, those costs are, well, they're practically identical? And when I say practically identical, I'm not kidding. We're talking a difference in the monthly payment that could be as little as $30. Yeah, you heard me, 30 bucks. That's what? A couple of fancy coffees? So how is this possible? What is actually going on here? All right, so to start unraveling this, the first place you look for an answer is the sticker price, right? But here's the thing. That's actually where this whole mystery just gets even deeper. Okay, so take a look at this. The data confirms what we all thought. The median new home does have a higher list price. And it's not by a little. It's over $40,000 higher. So this just makes the question even bigger. If the upfront cost is so much higher, how on earth do those monthly payments end up being so close?
And this isn't just some weird one-time blip. It's actually a trend that's been building. The price gap between new and existing homes, it's been shrinking and shrinking dramatically. I mean, we're talking record lows quarter after quarter. This isn't an accident, folks. This is a fundamental shift happening in the market.
So that brings us to the first major clue in our little investigation here. See, to compete in this environment, home builders have pulled out a really powerful tool, something that's totally leveling the playing field. You could almost call it their secret weapon. And what is that secret weapon? Well, it's pretty simple. Builders are being super aggressive to get buyers in the door. They're offering all these incentives that directly attack the biggest pain points for you, the buyer. We're talking about things like buying down your mortgage rate, maybe covering your closing costs, or even helping you out with a smaller down payment. And this is the aha moment. This is the result of those incentives. Just look at the difference. While folks buying existing homes were looking at average rates over 6%, new home buyers were snagging rates closer to 5%. Now, that might not sound like a huge deal, but over a 30-year loan, that difference is absolutely enormous. It's the thing that basically erases that entire $40,000 price gap we saw earlier. Let's put a number on it. We're talking about a 99 basis point gap. Now, for those of you who aren't in finance, that's just a fancy way of saying it's nearly a full percentage point difference. And that's the widest this gap has been in years. So let's be clear, this isn't some tiny little discount. It is a massive financial advantage for new home buyers. And it's all part of a strategy. According to senior economist Joel Berner, this is all about how motivated builders are. They have all this inventory they need to move. They looked at the market, they saw these high interest rates, and they realized the best way to sell houses was to solve the buyer's number one problem, that monthly payment. But wait, these builder incentives, they're really only half the story. It turns out that when we look at the national average price, it's actually hiding a massive secret. And this secret, it's all about geography. Your experience buying a new home is completely, and I mean completely different depending on what part of the country you're in. Joel Berner puts it perfectly. He says, look, if you're somewhere like Connecticut, a new build is a $2 or $3 million luxury item. It's not the kind of thing you see every day. But then you go down south to places like Texas and Florida, and they are just cranking out new homes for a fraction of that cost. I mean, just look at this comparison. It is so stark. We're talking a $350,000 home versus a multi-million-dollar one. It's like a tale of two completely different markets, but they're both getting averaged together under the same national headline. So what does that do to the national numbers? Well, think of it like this. There's so much new home construction happening in those more affordable southern markets that the sheer volume of it acts like a giant weight. It just pulls the entire national median price way, way down. And that creates this illusion that prices are close everywhere, when they're really not. Okay, so let's recap. We've got two big puzzle pieces: super motivated builders with their incentives, and a national market that's heavily skewed by what's happening in the South. So we get the what and the why. But that leaves us with the big final question. Is this situation gonna last? Well, according to the experts, the answer is probably not. What we're seeing right now is basically a temporary standoff. It's a game of chicken. On one side, you've got these really aggressive builders doing whatever it takes. And on the other side, you have existing home sellers who, let's be honest, still have expectations that are a little too high for the current market. Eventually, something's got to give.
So what does that path back to normal look like? Well, it'll probably happen in a few steps. First, you'll see prices for existing homes either come down a bit or at least stop climbing so fast. Once that happens, builders can breathe a little. They won't need to be so aggressive with their incentives anymore. They'll start to pull back, maybe shift their focus to higher-end, more profitable projects. And just like that, the price gap between new and used homes that we're all used to, it'll probably start to widen again.
And that leaves all of us with one final and I think really crucial question. We are living through this really unique, probably temporary moment where new and existing homes are locked in this fierce battle for your dollars. So as this market inevitably starts to shift, it forces every single potential buyer out there to ask themselves, where is the real value going to be? Is it in the brand new home with all its temporary perks, or is it in the existing home with a price that hasn't quite settled down yet? The answer to that question is really going to define the housing market for the next few years.